So I decided to do something pretty stupid. Over the next 24 hours, I would be not talking, speaking, or opening my oral aperture for any reason other than to eat food. Just me, my brain, and 24 hours of pure awkward silence. Door, because he was too close.
You've got lots of different choices.
And it all started on a Thursday morning. Here's the outfit I had on for the day, looking pretty good. But I came up with an idea to kind of show people or tell people that I was doing the monk mode without actually speaking. So I decided that I was going to draw on the sheet of paper just so then they wouldn't be too confused by what I'm doing. So here's a little time lapse of me making that. I wasn't completely done with my drawing, but Danny came in the room and I had to show him something. So here's what I had so far when Danny came in the room.
No talk? Okay. What about no phone? It's a different challenge every day? Okay.
And here's the finished product, but I wanted to add a little more detail, so I added a little monk guy on the top right, and I think it pulled it all together. Then I was going to be late to my psych test, so I really had to get moving, so here's me packing up all my things really quick. It was actually like a really beautiful day out, but that didn't matter for me because I was about to sit in a classroom for 2 hours and take a psych test. And I was a little worried, as you can tell by that face, just because I had two kind of obstacles working against me, both that I barely studied for this test and I didn't think I was going to make it. But I ended up making it with about 2 minutes to spare, which I was super thankful for. Once I got into the classroom, I had to explain to Brady why I wasn't talking to him about the test. And he was pretty confused about it, but I think eventually he did kind of understand what I was doing. But then I'm sitting in my chair, everybody's talking about what's going to be on the test and blah, 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 and I can't really talk, so I didn't do that. Here I am after the test, and honestly, for how little I studied, I would say that test went, like, really well. But now it's time to head to lunch. After a short walk, I finally made it to the dining hall, so here's a little sneak peek of what it looks like if you've never been to St. Hall. Here's the grub I grabbed. I got some cherry tomatoes, chicken, and then I think it was squash mashed potatoes. And here's me smacking that shit down, baby. Woo! After finishing round one, you know your boy had to get a round two. Here's me grabbing a bowl, and then grabbing some delicious, yummy, angelic strawberry yogurt, then the strawberry granola to mix with the strawberry yogurt, just beautiful. And here's me grabbing some water, you gotta stay hydrated, and then I found Tate, and he was just sitting downstairs, and I had no idea. And I was trying to describe to him that I was doing this challenge, because he had no idea. He wasn't really hearing it, so I had to take this picture, so here's what I showed him. Then I went upstairs, grabbed my plate, brought it down to Tate so I could sit by him, and yeah, and there's Big M. Then Will Sullivan showed up, and I started explaining to him what challenge I was doing, and unlike Tate, he was very receptive, as you will see.
Yep, we're gonna monk mode.
Round two got fully devoured just like round one, and then we're just hanging out, talking. Well, obviously, I wasn't talking, I was signing. Then Andrew showed up, and I also explained to him what I was doing for the day. We sat around for a while, but then it was time to leave, so I said goodbye to everybody, and I headed for the elevator. I accidentally missed the button here, but you guys gotta understand when you're trying to press a button and you're looking through the phone, it's like a little weird. So then I pressed the wrong button here too.
Nope, not that one, but.
I got back to the dorm, and since I'm recording a YouTube video, you know I had to stay productive. So I decided that I was gonna make a to-do list. So here's me coming up with and writing down what I wanted to accomplish over the next 2 hours before my business class. After some long deliberation, I finally decided on the 3, and it was clean bathroom, make some YouTube shorts, and edit this video. I decided to start off with the bathroom first just because that was the worst out of my to-dos. So here is me in the bathroom. Here's the sink looking dirty. I mean, ew. I mean, if I'd be embarrassed to show it off. There's me in the mirror also dirty. Toilet, I don't even want to show you guys, but I did. I opened up. Then the shower, you guys cannot blame me for that spot on the ground because I cannot fix it. I have tried, trust me guys. But I'm basically going to clean everything. So first things first, you always got to start off with the sink. It's the most important. Just because I feel like, at least for me, that's what gets most dirty. So I sprayed down this Norwex stuff that my grandma gave me onto it, and then I rubbed it with my Scrub Daddy, and then I just dried it off with paper towel. And it turned out really well, as you'll see right here. Looking polished, brand new, straight out the box. I mean, who else is doing this other than Findini? You guys know what comes after the sink, the mirror. And I grabbed a rag for this, and it actually wasn't too dirty right now, so I didn't really have to do much, but I tried to wipe it off with another rag, but it like made it dirtier, so I had to use paper towel. Then I moved on to the toilet. I used my Scrub Daddy for this too, but don't worry guys, it's just my cleaning Scrub Daddy. I don't use it for my dishes or anything. Then I scrubbed down the toilet. Honestly, it wasn't that dirty, so I didn't have to do that much. Here's the final product. Looking nice, you know. Gotta always clean the toilet once in a while. Just feels right. Because you don't want it to get too dirty, because then it's just horrible to clean. Finally, I moved on to the shower, and I used a Norwex solution for this too, and I just kind of scrubbed everywhere. And yeah, honestly, I didn't do that much cleaning for it, but I feel like you don't really have to do that much for a shower. But let me know in the comments if I need to do some stuff differently, please. Give me any tips. I also had to change it into a shirt because I was getting hot, all the scrubbing. It was a lot of work. And yeah. So, got done with that. Here's the final product here. Not much of a difference, at least from this view, but it did get cleaner, guys. You gotta trust me. With that, I get to cross it off the to-do list and move on to my next, which is make some YouTube shorts. I made about 4 shorts, but I never ended up posting any of them. But if you guys want to see them, comment shorts below and I will post them. With that, though, I get to cross it off the list, which leaves me to edit this video. And ultimately, I decided that I wasn't going to do that. I didn't have enough time, and I just wanted to kind of chill before my business class. Once again, I found myself in a bit of a predicament because I was running late for class again. So I had to rush and make like a tree and split. I ended up making it to class only about 3 minutes late, so I didn't miss too much, which was good.
Got lots of different choices here. So let's say
After class was done, I just headed back to my dorm, and I decided that I wanted to go on a run, so I asked Otto, and he agreed. I completely forgot to bring my phone on the run, so I ended up not recording anything, but after the run, I grabbed a cutie and turned on some YouTube. Once I finished the cutie, I hopped in the shower, and then it was time for dinner, so here's me walking over to Bunt Rock where the cafeteria is. Unfortunately, I made a very costly mistake and forgot my key card, so I had to go back to my dorm, but eventually I retrieved it, and I came back to Bunt Rock, and here's me at dinner. Got a salad, wings, and chicken, and I was eating with Otto, Andrew, and Liam. After dinner, you know we had to take the elevator down, so here's everybody in the elevator. Stopped on the first floor just to check it out, saw a dude I knew, and I got a little spooked, so I had to get out of there. We decided that we wanted to go to Target, so here's us walking to Andrew's car. Once we got to Target, I thought I was going to make some big purchases, so I grabbed a cart, But I ended up not getting anything that I was planning on getting except food dye, and you guys will see that in the upcoming video next Wednesday. Once I got back to the dorm, I hopped in the shower, did my face care, brushed my teeth, and then I was just sitting on this chair watching some Park and Recreation. Then I got in my bed and started reading my book. I am currently reading The Black Onyx, which is in the 4th Wing series, but then it was time for bed.
Alright, it's the next morning now, and I completed the challenge! Thank you. Thanks. Okay. Stop it. But anyways, I wanted to give a little, reflection, give some of my takeaways and all that. So the first thing I wanted to bring up was how easy I thought this challenge was going to be. I came to this challenge, I was like, this is a piece of cake. Not talking for a full day. Like, sometimes I don't even want to talk. So now I just have to not want to talk for a whole day. And easier said than done. Because, I would say, to be honest, the morning was pretty easy. I was having fun with it. And then once I got past, lunch, I'd say. After lunch, because at lunch I was having a blast. I was, signing to my friends, and they were trying to guess what I was trying to say. But after lunch, I would say, I realized I gotta live in my head for, 10 more hours. And I'm not even halfway through this challenge yet. And, living in your head for that long, normally you're the radio announcer. And you got all these analytical guys, whispering stuff through there, like blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And then you get to be like, he said blah, 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 he said blah, 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 I'm gonna say blah, 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 blah. And you get to announce that for everybody, But when you get rid of that radio announcer, I'm no longer employed for that day, now I'm just listening to all these analytical guys whispering all these things. They're all my thoughts, and, I'm getting all these and I'm processing them still, but I don't say anything out loud. And it's kind of like, it was just kind of interesting. Next thing I wanted to talk about was FOMO. And I would say this was, a little bit of a factor throughout the challenge, just because, I would think of I'd get another voice. I'd be like, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, oh, that would in this conversation right here, right now, that would go perfect. Whether it was a killer joke or something funny to add, or Otto dropped food on his pants and I gotta say something about that. But in the moment, I couldn't. And it was it was frustrating, and I wanted to make everybody laugh. I wanted to continue the conversation. I wanted to add something new, but I just couldn't. And that was just really hard for me. A good example of this would be dinner. And I thought about dinner a lot since yesterday. And I still really don't understand what happened at dinner. Because I'm at dinner with Andrew, Liam, and Otto. And, it was pretty quiet. And I think they back up. It was pretty quiet at dinner. And it's hard for me to say, if I would have been able to talk, we would have had, a lively conversation, it would have been quiet. Because we really don't know. But I feel like I've sat with those people before and it hasn't been quiet. But it also could have just been that day for them, and it's there's all these different things that could blame, third variable stuff, psychology term, guys. Locked in. Especially at that point, I really wanted to talk. It was quiet, and I wanted to break this quietness, because the quietness kind of, even though my whole goal for yesterday was to be quiet, and still, I felt uncomfortable in the quietness that others were talking. I think it's just that I have this expectation when I'm around people that we have to be talking. For good and for bad, it's good to talk to people, it's good to, hear about things and tell things to other people, it's good to get things out and be a good listener for others. But at the same time, why am I not comfortable in this, a quiet environment, I also felt like I was thinking a lot more. And maybe that's just because all day, instead of doing my job of listening and being the radio announcer, I was just a listener. So I felt like I was hearing more thoughts, more analytical guys telling me all this stuff. And it was kind of wow. I felt like I had a eye-opening moment throughout the day where I was wow, you have a lot of thoughts. And I don't think of them as thoughts usually, I just think of them as just me. But really, you have so many thoughts at any one moment. It's insane. The brain is actually so wild, And when I don't know, a mute person, what even, I can't imagine. And that's really all I had planned out for this portion of the video. So with that said, if you guys enjoyed this video and want to see me do kind of more challenges like this and other stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and see you next Wednesday.